The 8-year assault on your Second Amendment freedoms has come to a crashing end. I like taking the guns early. Take the guns first, go through due process second.
Well, I say go fuck yourself. Then ask a question, could I kill a man? I would enjoy myself. You can't disguise evil eyes that burn a hole in my head. This devil man and his master plan. We feel so misled, so I say, rise up, take all back. Rise up, take it all back. Hope you all understand. We got to take it all back again.
These people are not going to take it any longer. We will never give up. We will never concede. Our country has had enough. We will not take it anymore. But you have to go home now. We have to have peace. So go home. We love you. You're very special. But go home and go home in peace. The demonstrators who infiltrated the Capitol have defiled the seat of American democracy. You do not represent our country. And to those who broke the law, you will pay.
Hello, everybody. What's up, Gerald? What's up, Riddle? How you doing? I do have a little bit of a delay. I have too many tabs open, I think. This morning when I was on the morning muster, I was closing all my extra tabs that I didn't need open. And it seemed like it was better. Like there wasn't as much of a delay between me talking and you hearing what I'm saying. Because it's bad even on my end sometimes. I really need to clean this computer out. So last night we had an after chat. Thank you very much, Gerald, for being there. That was a lot of fun. I learned a lot about growing. I did pick me up one of these little grinder things, but it only had the one grinding thing. For some reason, I thought there was like multiple levels of grindage, but apparently not. Other than that, man, I don't know. Today's been something else. Tell you what, Biden is going for broke. Like, have you guys noticed? Well, most of the stories that I have today are about you know what? We don't give a shit what you think. It's happening, and you're gonna bend over and take it because we're the government. I did watch a Guns Coast to Coast video right before it came on. I think it was the one that he did this morning. It was pretty cool. I enjoyed that. I'm not really gonna get into that too much because it was a 7-minute video, but it's all about where do you go from here. There's a lot of people. First of all, this is gonna take a while. This whole mandate's gonna take a while, right? I think it's like 90 days, maybe longer than that. So a lot of governors are going to be fighting this. A lot of corporations are going to be fighting this. A lot of people are going to be fighting this. And I'm sure there's going to be plenty of legal challenges. A lot of states have already implemented that you can't have a mandate in their state. So those states are definitely going to be on the prowl of making sure that that doesn't happen. So for all those people that are worried about, losing your job because you don't want to get a jab, I wouldn't worry about it too much. There might be some issues, especially depending on your state and depending on your company, you might have issues. It's definitely a good thing to start planning now for it if you haven't already. And in his video, actually, he talked about how some people will just probably go back on unemployment. Because, I mean, how long can you be on unemployment? I think you can be on unemployment for a pretty good long time. And they pay out pretty good too. So, just as I was telling Riddle and everybody yesterday, do not freak out yet. It is not time to be freaking out right now, but it is time to be getting your shit in order and preparing for the imminent if it happens. We've always been preparing anyway, so this shouldn't be any news to us. It's just now it's here and it's in your face. 20 years ago, tomorrow, will be 9/11/2001. 20 years ago tomorrow, it happened on a Tuesday, we had some people somewhere did something in New York and the Pentagon, which I still don't really buy into that. Here's the thing. There's a lot of conspiracy theories with 9/11. And I bought into the narrative, I'd say until about 2014. So, I mean, that's about 13 years of me being into the narrative. And I remember talking to the guys here on YouTube, and they're trying to convince me of it. And I'm like, fuck you, dude. There ain't no way. There ain't no way that it was an inside job or anything like that, right? And so, sure enough, they're all giving me their videos to go watch. And I try to go down that rabbit hole. I try. And there's been times where I try to go down a rabbit hole. But at the end of that rabbit hole was just a whole mix of videos. Everything from it didn't even happen. Like the planes weren't even there. They CGI'd them in 2001 onto people's phones and I guess wiped all their memories and they were all missiles. They weren't planes, they were missiles dressed up as planes. And all this shit and I'm like, "Come on, man, this is ridiculous." And I forget who actually eventually told me to do this. I think it might have been Rebel Solution, who now goes as War Drums Network, maybe. But somebody pointed me out to the whole 9/11 Engineers for Truth. That was a documentary that I watched that was really good, and from people who weren't like going off on a tangent, right? There's certain conspiracies I just don't buy, right? Oh, you know what? We haven't heard from OMG for a while, Riddle. You should get a hold of him, see how he's doing. Um. Anyway, You did? Okay, good. Good. Picked up a dozen jars of Prego pasta sauce today to add to the overflow room. So you're making pasta? You're gonna be Are you gonna be making with the secret oregano? That'd be interesting. There are certain conspiracies I will not buy into. OMG came to mind because he will not buy into chemtrails, which I respect. I didn't know much about him, and I still don't know much about him, but I understand his position that the reason why we have chemtrails now and we didn't have them back in like the 70s is because the planes are flying higher. Maybe. I don't know. I'm not one of these people, right? And I do believe there's a lot easier ways for us as a species to be poisoned. Could it be weather control? Sure, maybe. At the end of the day, though, it's very hard to prove. Nobody's really talking about it. It's a big deal, but it's not like the pressing one, right? There's the whole moon landing was fake. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it was fake or not. The world is flat. Doesn't matter if the world is flat or not. I don't care how great of an argument you make. Me buying into the world is flat does absolutely nothing to change anything, and it doesn't even matter. If the world has been flat and we've been lied to all this time, guess what? Life goes on. It's been working fine all these years. So, what's the benefit of going down a rabbit hole to find out the earth is flat or that we didn't land on the moon? Absolutely nothing. The only reason for not landing on the moon is NASA and our government wasted a lot of our tax money. Oh, there's so much more to worry about with our tax money being spent. So I try to be very careful with conspiracy theories. However, after searching and finding the engineers for 9/11 truth, I have come to the realization that yes, I think people knew about what was going to happen. This is just my opinion. I think people knew what was going to happen, and certain people took out insurance policies on the towers for a terrorist event. I do believe that there was probably some sort of high temp, melty steel kind of element in place. And the reason I believe that is because there's only been 3 skyscrapers made of steel ever in the world history to fall due to any kind of fire. And they all happened September 11th, 2001. There is no way, after the research that I did, I believe that the planes are solely responsible for everything that happened. And the main thing that I found that got me to that spot was Building 7. Architects for 9/11 Truth and Building 7. The funny thing is, I forget how many World Trade Center buildings there were. I know there was at least 7. I believe all of them had gotten destroyed shortly after 9/11, even though they had nothing to do with anything. And Building 7 wasn't even hit by anything. It somehow caught fire, but there was absolutely no structural damage. And the fire that raged through Building 7 was basically an office fire that should have burnt the building out, and that should have been it. But for some reason, it free fell like if it had been demolitioned. So 20 years later, we got the Patriot Act. We got a whole bunch of other shit that we had to go through for, living in the freest country in the world. And now we have the sniffles. And as I said yesterday, and I think I've said it quite a few times, I believe this is the new medical 9/11. And we're already seeing things like the Patriot Act, but in my opinion, worse than the Patriot Act happening right now. Possibly going to have a full on mandate. That's possible. It's definitely possible. It's happened before in human history all the time, especially in the United States. It's happened. So 20 years later, start over. I wonder what we're going to be doing in 20 years from now. What's going to be the new thing? Because, you can only do so much of that. No, just extra food storage. Yeah, there's a granny on YouTube that does make it, but she doesn't eat her own supply, which, is kind of funny. Got a bunch of pasta, rice beans, and other stuff. I'm going to be eating what we normally eat for the first year anyway. Oh, yeah. You're talking about if you can't get any food? Yeah. If you're not into canning and preserving and freezing and doing all that stuff or gardening, I would definitely get into that. It's a good idea. All right, now that the is over, thank you very much for sticking with that. We have a lot of stuff going on right now with this whole mandate. So we're going to get to that. First, we're going to watch a Mark Dice video. He kind of lays it out pretty good. Make sure my desktop audio is on.
Joe Biden, the dementia patient who's being treated at the White House, is not only acting like a dictator, but like all Democrats, he's a gigantic hypocrite as well. Because up until yesterday, this was his stance on the government mandating the vaccine.
While Mr. Biden said he would be willing to get a vaccine, he would not require it for all Americans.
I don't think it should be
That's what he said
mandatory. I
then.
wouldn't demand to be mandatory, but I would do everything in my power. Just like I don't think masks have to be made mandatory nationwide.
Even Nasty Pelosi said, don't worry, the Democrats would never do that.
So here's the thing. We cannot require someone to be vaccinated. That's just not what we can do. It is a matter of privacy to know who is or who isn't.
But that was then, and this is now, when China Joe is directing OSHA, the Occupational Health and Safety Administration, to fine any business with more than 100 employees $14,000 per violation if they don't mandate that their employees take the vaccine or test them every single week until they do.
The bottom line, we're going to protect vaccinated workers from unvaccinated coworkers.
Wait, old Joe. We're going to protect vaccinated workers from unvaccinated coworkers?
Remember, did I cover this yesterday? I think I might have. The protect the people who have gotten the shot against the people who haven't. How does that even work? Isn't the whole idea that the people that get the shot protect the people that didn't? That whole herd immunity kind of shit?
Isn't that what the vaccine itself is for those who decide to take it? Of course, after old Joe announced this decree, he did what he always does when he should be answering questions about what his administration is doing. He turned his back on the press corps and walked away.
Get vaccinated.
No, thank you.
Even old Joe's caretaker, Jen Psaki, whose job it is to answer questions about what it is that he's doing, scurried away like a little cockroach.
What happened to my body, my choice when it comes to vaccinations in the Biden administration? And in 2020, President-elect Biden said he would not demand vaccine mandates.
If President Trump had done this, then
Can you imagine if
Antifa
Trump
and Black
did
Lives
this?
Matter would have probably burnt the
Can
White
you
House down
imagine?
by now.
Can you imagine Trump doing this? Trump comes out with the sniffle shot. You remember? Nobody wanted to take it. Joe Biden didn't want to take it. Kamala Harris didn't want to take it. Nobody wanted to take it. Everybody's like, nope, don't really want to take it if Trump's the one that did it. Guess what? The ones that are still being put out there were still done under the Trump administration. And now they went from, we don't want to take it ourselves, to everybody has to take it. Fuck your privacy. Fuck your freedoms. Fuck your right to choose.
But since Antifa are the foot soldiers and enforcers of the Marxist Democrat Party's policies, they'll be violently opposing anybody who peacefully protests against these new mandates.
You know what also shows? You see what happened last summer with all the riots, right? Nobody did anything about that. Nobody called in the National Guard. Well, I think some states did eventually, but the response out of Washington wasn't a big deal. Not at all. And that was even when Trump was in office. I mean, he talked about it, but nobody was doing anything. He's right. If Antifa riots, nothing's going to happen. You won't hear the president talk about it. You won't hear any National Guard are being sent to Portland because, there's riots in the street. Nobody gives a fuck. However, right now, currently, the White